So I just went and saw Civil War, the new Alex Garland movie, and I gotta start by saying, don't. Uh, I was pretty disappointed. I'm a big fan of Alex Garland, I should start by saying, and I just had high hopes for this movie. I loved some of his work, including 28 Days Later, which he wrote a while ago, the miniseries Devs on Hulu, and Ex Machina I thought was great. Some other movies that I thought were like decent, like Annihilation, but I wasn't a big fan of that either. My big complaint with this movie was I feel like the trailer just lied to me. I was expecting an interesting kind of political story with this, and I talked about it with one of my roommates who does a lot of leftist organizing. We were chatting, and I thought he articulated a crucial point pretty well, uh, which was that the like how good the movie is would hinge on how they answered the question, how did the Civil War actually start in this movie, which never comes up. There's never, you just start. It's like, it's, I know as a literary technique it can be cool and acceptable to just like start in the middle of a story, because the author gets to decide where it starts, but I just felt like it bypassed all the interesting stuff that it can do. And especially with like knowing a writer like Alex Garland, who wrote Devs, which deals with different interpretations of quantum mechanics and like the many worlds hypothesis versus the Copenhagen interpretation, having people actually debate and argue about this stuff. The world he creates in a show like that is incredible and granular and well researched. You don't get any of that. This movie is basically the day after tomorrow for 2024. It's like, oh yeah, we're all worried about this thing happening, global warming back when Day After Tomorrow came out or whatever. Let's watch the apocalyptic future we're freaked out about, or in this case, Civil War. But it's not a drama. It's an action movie at the end of the day. And I felt like the trailer kind of lied to me, because they really put front and center every conversation that deals with any sort of political theme in the trailer, which made it look like, there was going to be some interesting dialogue and conversations and world building around this. I think the only thing that struck me as like especially politically interesting in the movie was more the kind of like some of the essentially like guerrilla warfare, or like the actual Civil War fighting. And really, I'm just talking about the end of the movie, which I don't want to spoil, but you see a pretty interesting climactic battle. So I'd give this movie like a B, maybe a solid B plus, because I think I'm mostly disappointed just because I was expecting something else. And I think, if you go into this expecting just an action movie and some cool, scenes and some dark crap happening and people getting killed in messed up ways, if that's what you're looking to go see, then you'll be pretty happy with this, because that's what it does. If you're looking for some interesting social commentary and cultural commentary, you don't get it. And I can understand to some extent why Garland, why Alex Garland avoided that, because he probably wants to make this a movie that everyone could go see. And, if he's, maybe he wants to, with his art, prevent a civil war. So he wants it to appeal to, different political perspectives. But I felt just like he basically avoided actually getting into politics in any sort of specific way in the movie, which just kind of feels like, what are you doing? Why are you even making this movie in the first place if you're not going to get into this stuff, right? Because like what makes a civil war pop off, what makes these things happen is actually like interesting and important. And I just feel like it's a missed opportunity. Uh, and hopefully someone else in the future can do something more interesting with this sort of premise. I do want to say, just like I felt like all the acting was good in this movie. There's some music like moments where I was like, what the hell are they doing? It felt like they were trying to be funny or like ironic. We're having a really dark scene juxtaposed with like a happy rock song or something, but it felt like kind of like in Reservoir Dogs where they play that Steelers Wheel song when the guy's getting his like ear cut off by the psycho bank robber. Or I guess they rob a jewelry store in that movie. But like, yeah, anyway, the music, I saw some weird choices in there, but I thought the acting was all pretty good. I'm not really a big fan of Kaylee Spaney, but I thought everyone else did a pretty great job. You have Wagner Moura, pretty convincing, performance. Kirsten Dunst, I think, does a great job of looking like a super burnt out journalist. Jesse Plemons kind of steals the show with his one like super screwed up scene and the dialogue that made me want to go see this movie, where he's like, well, what kind of American are you? It's a pity that he's only on screen for like 2 minutes because, he's a great actor and he really knows how to bring that. It wasn't a one-time deal. What he did in Breaking Bad being the unassuming kind of dopey, pasty white guy who actually is connected to like white supremacists and like really scary, terrifying, violent people. He definitely pulls off, some version of that in this movie, just in terms of being a menacing character. But yeah, he's not on there for very long. And you have a few other actors, like Stephen McKinley Henderson, who is also in Devs, who's a great actor. I kind of felt like in this movie, I felt like Alex Garland made him responsible for delivering all these sorts of like very, what's the word in writing, where you have exposition, right? Where you have a character's dialogue just explaining the plot or what's happening, and it's not actually dialogue that's like adding to the movie or like adding to who the character is. It's just bad dialogue basically, which is just meant to help a viewer understand what the movie's about, which is not really what you want to do with dialogue. So yeah, I felt like he had a lot of he did a great job with what he was given. He's a fantastic actor. I thought he was amazing in Devs and other movies I've seen him in. But yeah, just I don't know, B plus. I had a couple other things to say. Yeah, I mean, I took a few of my roommates who are like very politically active people. One of my roommates works as a staffer on Capitol Hill, and I kind of we walked out of the movie at the end and I was kind of like, I'm sorry. Like, I thought there was going to be actual social and political commentary in there. And it just pretty minimal. It's an action movie. And I think to end on a low note, I think even calling it speculative fiction feels kind of like a stretch, because if you're creating speculative fiction, there's an element of world building implied in that. And yes, there is world building in this movie, but it's really just world building around, okay, how can we set this up for fight scenes or battle scenes and, chases and stuff. It's not like world building where you're just like, where there's a ton of imagination that really makes it immersive and captivating. So, yeah, if you want to go see this, if you want a good action movie, I'd say this, it has some moments that freaked me out. I think at one moment I just went like that, like when there was a gunshot I wasn't expecting, and it's a bit terrifying in points, but I feel like we have enough of this, enough of that type of movie. And like, I was watching a bit of House of the Dragon last night. First episode in, we're watching a guy like coercively have his wife held down and like C-sectioned to death, and I just turned it off after that. I'm like, I've seen enough messed up stuff on TV and in movies and in real life in the last like 10 years. Do I really need more of this? So that's kind of my gripe with a movie like this. If you're gonna delve into really dark stuff, which we have plenty of in our world already and in our media, at least make it interesting, make it thoughtful, make it help us reflect on what's going on, maybe have a little comedy or just something like something. I don't mean comedy, but like some dark humor to help you process the darkness of our reality. So yeah, I'm just like, I don't need it. I'm over it. I don't need more dark stuff. I'm not an angsty sixth grader anymore. So if you're gonna show me something dark, help me reflect on it, because I don't have more energy for just, you know, gratuitous violence in movies and TV. Yeah, it's gotta have some meaning in it. So that's the point of art, right? Like, you can go, if you just go watch someone get hung at an execution or like a firing squad or something, you're going for the action, right? There's not really anything artistic about that. If someone makes a 2-hour movie about someone getting hung or executed or whatever, you're expecting there to be something a bit more poignant and meaningful in that, because you are giving them 2 hours of your time and your attention and your brain to be in whatever state of consciousness they decide to put you in. I think you have a duty as an artist to do productive things with people's time and attention to help them reflect and live better lives. And if not better lives, at least feel better. I don't know. You know what I mean, though? So anyway, I might demote this from a B+ to a B-, but that's probably enough. You've heard me talk about this for too long already, and I gotta go play soccer over in Shaw. So I gotta get ready to get on the subway. Metro. Excuse me, Metro.